Thanks. After the horrendous bombing of the Baptist Hospital in Gaza, Joe Biden has arrived in Israel. He has embraced the war criminal Netanyahu, and he said, quote, "It appears as though it was done by the other team, not you." A disgusting comment in line with the disgusting policy of US support for Israeli ethnic cleansing. Those who have given a green light to genocide by Israel, including Joe Biden, including von der Leyen, have blood on their hands. And the denial of Israel is just part and parcel of the regular propaganda machine. They denied killing Palestinian journalist Shireen Abu Akleh. They blamed it on the Palestinians for months. In 2022, they denied a strike killing 5 children in Gaza, blaming it on Islamic Jihad before having to admit it. This is just what they do. We should believe them when they told us what they were going to do. When the army spokesperson said, quote, "The emphasis is on damage and not on accuracy." When the defence minister said, "We will eliminate everything." When they gave written threats repeatedly to hospitals in Gaza saying, "We're going to bomb you," we should believe them. When the Israeli ambassador on the RT radio this morning denied doing it, but said Israel has the right to bomb hospitals in Gaza. It's time for action, Taoiseach. It's time to expel the Israeli ambassador.
Thanks very much, Deputy. Deputy, I raised the issue of the UN Security Council. It's very much our view, and I expressed this view at the UN General Assembly, that the UN Security Council needs to be reformed. It simply does not reflect the world of 2023. The 5 permanent members are the victors of the Second World War, which was a long time ago now, and it's in dire need of reform and legitimacy. But I really think we should all appreciate that there's a lot more to the United Nations than the Security Council. There's UN peacekeeping. Does anyone doubt the value of operations like UNIFIL, which has at least allowed people in South Lebanon to lead a relatively normal life most of the time for the past few decades? I know we're very proud of the role that we've played in that operation. Look at the work of UNRWA, for example, in Gaza and the West Bank, caring for Palestinian refugees. That's the UN. Look at the World Health Organization and the work that organisation has done in fighting pandemics. So I think when people are critical of the UN, fair enough. Be critical of its limitations, be critical of the composition of the Security Council, but don't turn a blind eye to all the other things that the UN does, peacekeeping and the various different UN agencies. It is a valuable institution, I believe, and I'm proud that we prioritise it as part of our diplomacy. Deputy Murphy asked about my interaction with the European Union, so that's ongoing. Over the course of the weekend, while I was in Paris, my team and I were in touch with President Charles Michel to agree the joint statement that was released on Sunday, which I think was a balanced one. And I attended the European Council meeting by video conference yesterday, and that was attended by 27 heads of state and government, also President von der Leyen, President Metsola and the High Rep, as well as President Michel. I had bilateral meeting with President Macron on Sunday, and we discussed this as one of the 3 main topics. And the Taoiseach is very active at the moment, taking a leading role, contacting other states, including Jordan, has been in contact with Fatah, has also been in contact with Iran and others. Deputy Smith reminds us of the fact that we have citizens in the region, and their safety is very much on my mind. We have peacekeepers in Lebanon and Syria. We have aid workers in Gaza, and we have citizens in Gaza as well. So far, the only person who's been killed, the only Irish person who's been killed in this conflict so far was killed by Hamas, and I think we shouldn't forget that. But of course, our citizens are at risk in Gaza, in South Lebanon, in Israel and in Golan. And I certainly hope there'll be no other Irish citizens killed during the course of this conflict or this phase of the conflict. Deputy Smith also raised the issue of undocumented Irish. I think we have a really good model that other states could follow in terms of regularising undocumented people. We've done a few schemes in this state, including one for people who arrived with student visas and subsequently lost their status. I think it's a good example for the US to follow, but unfortunately I don't think it's going to be possible for them to do so. The whole debate around migration in the US has become so polarised. I think it would be very difficult for any president or any Congress to be able to get to get a reform through, and that's a real shame, but hopefully that will change at some point in the future. Just once again to say that Israel wasn't invented by the United States, notwithstanding anything that Deputy Boyd Barrett may have seen. It was established by the United Nations as a Jewish state in their historic homeland, and Israel has the right to exist, but it doesn't have the right. It doesn't have a right. It doesn't have a right. It doesn't have a right to do wrong. Finally, you'll recall that there were many calls to expel the Russian ambassador and to close the Russian embassy here in Dublin. And everyone in this House knows that I was 100% on the side and remain 100% on the side of the Ukrainian people in resisting occupation and in resisting the war that's happening caused by Russia. We decided not to expel the ambassador or close the embassy, the Russian one, precisely because we think it's important that even in the worst of times, you have to keep diplomatic contacts open.